I want to speak to you about Haaland, and obviously we know he's a superstar, but in terms of actually his interviews, he was criticised a lot, I think, a couple of weeks ago, a lot on social media, and I think a lot of it was taken out of context, really, and they weren't showing the full interviews. But, I mean, you've dealt with him, probably know him as well as anyone in terms of a pundit role, because of your relationship maybe with his father as well. I mean, how is he as a lad, and was he almost wrongly thought of a couple of weeks ago?
I think it's fair that you can talk about interviews and you can judge them. But first of all, I think we have to remember he's 19. And there are a lot of things into that analysis. As you said, the clip that came to England and came to rest of the world was 11 seconds of a great interview. Before Corona, I saw all his games. In 99% of the games, I made an interview afterwards with him. He is a cheeky humor. Remember, he's born in England, so he's taken some of that humor with him. And sometimes that is hard for the journalist to adjust. Having said that, if you're a journalist and you ask a 19-year-old a yes or no question, there is a big chance that you will get a yes and no answer. That is point one. Do I think that he will learn from that? And do I think he will stop saying why not for things? I'm not sure. Let's see how he's doing. When you cope with your players in your country, I know I'm saying your country, when you're doing Premiership, 80% of your players, they never turn up for interviews. So instead of criticizing a 19-year-old, Jamie, he got a fantastic attitude to his game. He loves his football. He do everything he can to improve himself, becoming a better player. And I'm sure Alfie and the team around him would also learn from that. Not only how he's doing his interviews, but I think more to learn from the reactions from around the world when asked about why did you go to the fans, and he say why not? I mean, but it's cheeky. But I think that for a 19-year-old, when I was 19-year-old, I couldn't dare talk to my girlfriend. So I think that we shouldn't expect everything from him. I know a couple of players over 30 will have some cheeky interviews too.
Yeah. Is he destined for the Premier League? We know Borussia Dortmund historically are a selling club, and I think it's brilliant for any young player to go there. But we know if the price is right, Borussia Dortmund will sell. Does he see the Premier League as the next step for him?
Well, what he's done, what I've been impressed by Erling and the team around him, they've always chosen the arenas, the places where he can develop as a player. Remember, from Norway, went from Molde. Solskjaer was his manager in Molde, by the way, so you can imagine how hard it was for Solskjaer and Manchester United to not get him when he now went to Dortmund. They choose to go to Red Bull Salzburg because they had a great arena for a young kid. Not going to Juventus, he had a fantastic offer from them. And this time he went to Dortmund because that was the right place for him to be now. Do I think he will play in the Premiership? Yeah, absolutely. I think he will go to the Premiership eventually. Where he will end up, I'm not sure. But I think that they will take him some time. I think that it went quicker than he thought in Salzburg because he had a success in the Champions League. But he's at a good place now, and I can't see him move in a short term. But in a longer term, of course, he will end up in Premier League. I mean, all big players will eventually end up there, won't they?
Hi, Jan. I just want to talk obviously a little bit more about Erling, because his dad has obviously played a massive part in his career in terms of helping him and guiding him. Does he look after him off the field? Is he the person that was always the one that's given him the advice? And what kind of relationship do they have?
Yeah, I think that's your part. I mean, his family background overall has been playing a big part of him being a great lad with a great attitude, and he's a good lad, this boy. But also, Alfie's been good at always talking about developing the player, and then he's looked around for people who could help them in areas where they are not that good, or Alfie as well. He will know that when you go from Salzburg to Dortmund or whatever club he wanted to go, then you have to look for other people to help them out. And for Manchester United, when they took Raiola, of course, Raiola helped them find an excuse for not going to Manchester United, so that they could say it was own goal to Raiola. I think that process was a bit different, but it's all about winning the storytelling competition, isn't it? But I think that Alfie's been good at that. The boy is always thinking of how to improve different areas. he's quite differently from Alf in terms of ability, how he plays and everything. But I think that Alf has been there. He was a tough guy on the pitch. And he's kind of got that into to Erling as well. And Erling, he will want to be one of them. He's very honest. I made an interview with him after the PSG game when it was the first game we did with the closed doors. And he said, I don't get motivated from closed doors. And I said, it's hard for me. I don't like this. I like a crowd. I like to be there out with the fans and everything. But then when we came back and they did that with Schalke, he was scoring 1 and involved in 3 other goals. So, yeah, they played a major part for him. And believe me, the team they built around him with local people from Norway helping out with economy. And it's so good to see a 19-year-old without tattoos and big cars made long stay like that.
Because he's an incredible player. I don't know if you agree. He's almost, to a certain extent, a bit of a throwback. You know, nowadays, wide men are the people that score the goals. He runs the channels. He runs everywhere. He's great in the air. And it feels like a bit more of a centre forward from the days when you played.
I think it's fair to say. And you know, when Guardiola came to Germany, the typical number 9 went out of fashion. There was a false number 9 and all that kind of thing. And now you see in Germany now, there is a lot of typical number 9 players. There are players like in Wolfsburg, they got a guy called Weghorst. He is like 6'5" and he's winning headers, scoring goals for fun. A lot of these clubs got that kind of player. But what I like about Erling is he's a number 9, but he's also so much more. There are areas he could improve. He's a very tall lad, yeah. He can win headers, but he could be much better in the heading department. But what I like about him is, when I grew up, I was always looking for players where I can learn, people I can learn from, and see how they did well. And I remember Jean-Pierre Papin. And you guys will remember him, how good he was to creating spaces, always playing on people's shoulder. And then you got this guy who is tall, strong, powerful, and got the sprint and still got that. And I don't know if you remember, Cara, when we saw him at Anfield, when he came on against Liverpool, he scored a goal, but there was like 3 or 4 times he could have been 1-on-1 against the goalkeeper, because he's very clever in creating spaces for himself. And in Dortmund, when you play with Royce, Sancho, and the likes of Brandt and the people Hazard around him, then of course you will score a lot of goals.